Hello, my name is Don Conibear, and I'm here on behalf of the Guelph Storytellers to tell you my story called Puffins. So it's no secret I love a road trip. Summertime in Canada means getting out a paper map and finding a far-flung destination. You might be heading off to a family member who lives in Saskatchewan. You might be off to see historic sites in Quebec. You might be off to a provincial park like Algonquin. It doesn't really matter. The main thing is you get out and you go. And almost invariably, every time we go on a road trip, the memory of that trip that gets talked about for years to come is not the destination itself. It's some event that happened along the way, some discovery that you made that you didn't even know was there to be discovered until you left for home. And I'm going to tell you about the story about one of those times. So the year was 2004. My family was camping in Terra Nova National Park in Newfoundland. And we decided to go out for a little day trip just to see what there is to see. So, there's my wife and I, 3 kids, 8 to 13 years old, in the back, and we're exploring a little secondary highway along the coastline. And we come up to a sign, and it says, Puffin Festival ahead. Well, awesome. My daughter, the youngest one, had been talking about puffins since before we had left. She actually had a little toque with a puffin knit into the front. So we get a little closer, and there it is, the Puffin Festival. Well, the Puffin Festival in Newfoundland, while there might be a big event there, isn't much bigger than a little fair that you might find in a mall parking lot here in Ontario. But regardless, we're driving by and I see a fellow who's just parked his car, and now he's waiting for me to drive by so he can cross the road, go to the Puffin Festival. Great. I ask him. I stop. Because in Newfoundland, you stop on the road, nobody cares. And I say, excuse me, I see there's a Puffin Festival going on. I assume that must mean there's puffins around here. Can you point me toward the puffins? My daughter's really excited to see puffins. He says, no problem at all, follow me. Turns around, he gets back in his car, pulls out on the highway, and now I'm following him down the road. Don't even know his name, just a nice guy, willing to give a tourist a hand. So after about 5 minutes, there's a bend in the road, there's a spot on the shoulder that we can pull over, and that's what we do. And he says, if you walk out this path here, you're going to come to a point of land, and just off the shoreline there's an island. It's like a chimney rock, and there you're going to find puffins. Well, great, thank you very much. He heads his way, and we unload the kids, and we start walking down this path. And at the beginning, this path is probably wide enough you could drive a car down it. Great. So we're walking along, nice and relaxed. And then as we get closer to the shoreline, I'm starting to hear the crashing waves. We are next to the Atlantic Ocean, and the wind's up, I guess, and the water is just pounding on the rocks. And the path starts getting narrower and narrower. And then there's a moment, because we're on a little peninsula, where we got ocean on both sides of us, probably a 30-foot drop on either side onto the rocks. And the pathway has gone from wide enough to drive your car on to not much wider than a city sidewalk. So you can imagine, we got 3 young children. My wife and I were staring at each other going, what have we gotten ourselves into? But it's probably safer to continue than it is to try to turn around on this skinny little piece of path we found ourselves on. So we grabbed the kids on tight. We kind of tiptoe forward. We hope nobody from Children's Aid is watching, otherwise we'd have some explaining to do when we got home. And we get to the end of the little peninsula where it kind of opens up. It's kind of been a keyhole shape. We've passed the most narrow part, and now there's a circular area, maybe 30 feet across at the end, where it's grassy. And we tell the kids, sit down, don't move. And we hang on tight. And there, straight ahead of us, across maybe about a 40-foot gap, there's like a chimney rock. It's a little island, and it's come straight out of the ocean. It's probably 50, 60 feet tall, and it's covered in puffins. There's puffin nests on the side, there's puffins diving in the ocean, there's puffins swimming in the ocean, puffins eating, puffins fighting, puffins doing all those things that puffins do. By the hundreds and maybe thousands, I don't even know. And loud, it would drown out the ocean. It was absolutely fantastic. And as a visitor to this wonderful little piece of our country, I really felt like one of those rare moments where you just get you're experiencing nature in such an intimate form that, and that very few people ever get to experience. And it was absolutely fantastic. And everybody was just transfixed watching the activity. And after a few minutes, a couple of the puffins came over to where we were, landed on our piece of land, check us out. And I'm there as a dad, not wanting to let go of my kid's hand, but wanting to capture the moment. So I quickly grab my camera out of my pocket and snap a picture. Not the best picture I've ever taken, but probably one of the best memories I've ever captured. Of a couple of puffins 10, 15 feet away checking us out. So after 15, 20 minutes, we realized we've been truly blessed. Let's not push our luck. Kids might get restless, whatever. So we stand up, grab tight on the kids again, single file, tiptoe across our way down back along the path. Not much wider the city sidewalk with the ocean on both sides. And we get back to the car. And getting back to the car, I kind of had that feeling like after a really long swim and you're tired, but you finally get to touch bottom again. You go, okay, I'm going to be okay. It was that kind of feeling. But if I could tell you, if you were to ask me, Don, what is there to see in Newfoundland? What was your favorite part? I'm going to tell you about some little funny black birds, white birds, black and white, with these little orange beaks. And what a truly wonderful experience we had discovering where they live. And you're going to say to me, what? I'm going to drive how many hours in a car to go see these birds? I might stay at home. You'd be missing out. Because it's these accidental discoveries that do become the memory of the trip that my kids still talk about years later. So, when this time of isolation is over that we're all in, what I'm going to be doing is getting out the big paper map of Canada and my pen and picking some place that I've never been before and planning my next road trip. And I know somewhere along the way, I'm going to have an adventure, make a discovery, create a memory that's going to last me a lifetime that I didn't even know was there to be found when I left. And I encourage you to do the same. Thank you for listening to my story.